All right, welcome. Arthur Gray here, your fellow host and creator and muse and an inspiration to the world, a Leonardo da Vinci of Lithuania. A father. No, I'm joking. So, today I want to briefly go over some of the things I feel are important in the world. And one of the most important things I say everyone should participate in is learning 100%. Learning, it's so easy to stop learning. You finish your school, you start working somewhere, corporate, blah, blah, blah. Party on Friday evening, friends and family, maybe you have kids. Just going by life, it's so easy to stop learning. It's so easy to stop learning. But learning is one of the most valued skill in my life. And everywhere I look, everywhere I go, I tell everyone to, what are you learning right now? What are you learning? I feel like learning is the meta skill to all skills. You actually have to learn before you can learn, right? I don't know if it makes sense, but learning by itself is the prerequisite for all the other skills. Business, relationships, what else we got? Health, finances, all these things, social, friend groups and whatnot. Everything comes from learning. And we tend to do it intuitively. We learn intuitively. We're like learning machines. But consciously attempting to learn and extract learnings from everyday life, that's not something people do. And for the people that do it, I say, well done for you. You're making a massive impact in the world. And I want to share with you a little story from my life. Actually last summer, and January and summer, I had a chance to travel to the middle of Africa, to a small country called Burundi. And the company I was working with, we were opening a bunch of call center offices in Africa, very cheap labor. Just makes sense for a business to open up a branch there. People speak English. It's difficult to get in there. There's a lot of corruption. You have to have a network. There's armed gangs and stuff like that. But apart from that, it's actually quite a safe country, small country, and people are very pleasant there. Now, when I got there, I noticed that there is a massive gap between the people who are aware of the world. There is a massive amount of people that are simply not aware of the world. They lack the education, perhaps to read, to simply know about the rest of the world. And next to it, there's a massive country called Congo. And in Congo, people build stuff out of gold because they can find it in their, just buried on the ground, or just there. It's so available, and they have no idea about it. They dig it out and they build stuff out of it that they actually need to use in a day-to-day life. They don't know about the value of gold. They don't know about any of these things. But of course, there's a lot of people, a lot of tribes, and there's these tribes that don't know about gold, and they just use it for the daily lives. And Westerners come in there, they notice these tribes, they steal the gold, and they force those locals to work in the mines for the gold. And to the government they say, this is like rebels. We can take care of the rebels. We need to make sure we protect this area. And the government say, let's good for me. As long as there's no rebels, I'm good. Thanks. And so what I found is that there's a massive gap in knowledge, right? A lot of people simply are not aware of the world, don't know how to read, are not educated. And there's only a small fraction that's like westernized, like out of like, I don't know, it's like 13, 14 million people that live in that small country. I would say we're talking maybe 100,000, maybe 200,000 out of that, 13 million that are, aware of the world and aware of, economics and business and all these things that happen in the world. And the rest that live in the rural areas are simply, they're so isolated. I mean, they live free lives. They live very poor lives. They don't have much, but they're also very ignorant in the sense that they don't know about the world and they're not educated about the world. And what struck me the most is like, why is there such a big amount of people that are not educated about the world? And what I ended up seeing is that a lot of the people who visit there's a lot of Italians and stuff like that, and NGOs that come on certain missions. The people who do a lot of the education there are white people, like Europeans, Americans. They come and teach. And the locals that, know about things and, they don't want to share. They don't want to share. And that struck me the most, that in that country, people are not willing to share knowledge. And for that reason, a lot of that population in that country is simply unaware of the rest of the world, simply uneducated. And they're not on the internet, it's a massive diaspora of people that is simply out there living in the fields and eating corn and stuff. And the only thing that's missing is a little bit of education in the culture. So if they ended up, I don't know, making a culture of education, like they would like a lot of people would teach each other and they would just keep on sharing knowledge, maybe it would be a very different society. And it struck me like, wow, this is what knowledge does. For some reason, Europeans are not afraid to teach each other and share that knowledge freely on the internet, whatever. Of course, there's little secrets you might keep if you have your own advantage. You might not tell everyone about your little advantage, your little, But generally, for business purposes or whatnot, we're happy to educate each other on the experience that we got. And so they could go and apply if they really want, so they can, we would take them under our wing and for our fellow countrymen. But for some reason in Africa, that's not the case. Or in Burundi, cannot say for all of Africa, there's a lot of countries there, but for Burundi, that was the case. And so that's why I say, learning is extremely important. Learning and teaching, that's, I believe that's God's work, like if you're a teacher, if you're teaching people, you're doing the best thing in the world. You're passing on knowledge and you're being humble and you're actually making the world a better place. So, but to teach, you have to learn, right? So learning, in a sense, is for me, it's the highest spiritual thing you can do. Learn and then teach. Learn and teach. Learn and teach. And that relationship between learning and teaching is what makes me feel great. And so my message with this video is, never stop learning so that you can teach and, be a great person. Be someone who's made an impact in the world and left the world a better place than when you came into it. So yeah, that's about it. Let's keep on learning, reading, and doing all sorts of things. Peace out.